Again, everyone. You know, I have been told that there is a lot of smart Catholics in this community. I mean, I'm even looking at our seminarian here. You know, the first-year seminarians, they know everything. You didn't know that. They start losing it after the first year, but they know it, you know, in the first year, and they like to tell all of us priests what we need to know. So, you know, we got a lot of knowledge in here. So I figured I'm going to give you a good Catholic test and see how you do. I know you'll pass it. It's not going to be a problem for you guys, right? So the question, right. So the question is, what's the difference between Catholics and our Protestant brothers and sisters? Well, those are some things, yeah. Hey, you're giving me some answers. The last group was kind of like, duh, you know. Well, I'm going to tell you what the big one is, in case you didn't know. So the big one is this. Catholics sit in the back, Protestants like to sit up front. And so that's the reason I got to come down here and find you. And you back there in the corner, I can see your eyeballs. So guess what? I know who you are and where you are. But, you know, we come together to do something special. We come here together to do the one thing that we were asked to do when we were baptized. Do you know what that is? You know? The answer is, you're going to have to work on these people, you know. I mean, they're quiet there, Matthew. You got some stuff you have to do here. We're called and we were baptized to build the kingdom of God. You were called and baptized to build the kingdom of God. Now, if you're mad at that, you better talk to your parents about that and have a word with them later. You did what to me? We are all baptized to build the kingdom of God. And we're not talking about building empires and doing all this sort of stuff that we think we have to do. And I have more people tell me, Father, I don't have a theological education. I run a small business. I got family. I got my kids driving me crazy. You got taxes. You got all this other stuff. Who has time to build the kingdom of God? I'm just trying to survive. And yet, we're all called to build the kingdom of God. And in doing that, we are reminded that Christianity is not an adjective. Not an adjective or a description. It's a verb. It's an action. It's how we live. It's how we care for each other. It's how we move with each other. And you read the gospel today and what Jesus is training his disciples to do. And you look at the disciples that he was training, and you know, some of those light bulbs in the box didn't light up very well. You know, they weren't the smartest bunch in the box. You know, but they were average folks for their community. They were fishermen. They were doing average things. And yet the Spirit called them with Jesus to do extraordinary things. And guess what? They created an entire movement, and here we are. You get to look at me this morning. Isn't that a frightening thought? But here we are together because of good people like yourselves in their own world building the kingdom of God, being invited to do something extraordinary. And when we look at this gospel, that's exactly what we are invited to do. And I have people tell me, well, how do you do this? I mean, I don't have all the skills to do this. And I thought one example is the next time you go to a grocery store or you go to a store where they actually got a checkout person instead of a machine that smiles and makes funny sounds at you, and if they have a name tag, just say hi and give them their name. Hi, Margaret. Hi, George. How you doing today? Do you know what kind of a smile you will get when somebody's name is actually recognized and you recognize their humanity? Just something as simple as that is a little piece of the kingdom that you're putting in place. It doesn't take the transformation of everything. Oftentimes, the building of the kingdom is one person at a time. And that's what the disciples were doing. They were going out to heal people, cleanse them of demons, one person at a time, over and over and over again. And, you know, we're called to do the same thing, and there's so many ways that we can do that. I hear the story of the many things you're doing here, caring for people, caring for your neighbors, caring for students, other things like that. That's building the kingdom one person at a time. And the program that I'm representing, Unbound, is about the same thing. It's an invitation to invite you to build the kingdom one child at a time. And this program wasn't started by some great theologian in some college somewhere in Europe or wherever. It was a program started by people just like yourselves who are asking themselves the same question. How on this earth can we make our world a little better? How can we reach out and care? And a group of them had the opportunity to go down to Guatemala, and they met this priest down there, and he showed them what was going on, the poverty, the struggles, the sufferings of what these children were going through, and that's where the idea came in. Let's start a sponsorship program where we can invite those kids and their families to tell us what they needed for their children to do better, and we find people here that is willing to help them do that through sponsorship. And that's what Unbound does. We link people together. We link kids with people like yourselves, and it is amazing the reactions from people here. My God, I never thought I could do something wonderful like that. Well, guess what? You've been doing it anyway with your own families, but now you're extending beyond your family. Now you're reaching out to a greater world and caring for those who are in need and empowering them. And I'm going to tell you a story about how it works, because it works. There's a young boy named Jose who lives in a little town called Libertad, El Salvador. And this little town of Libertad is right along the Honduran border, as poor as you can get, not much going on there. And his father, living in poverty as they were, his father liked to tinker with electricity. So he would play around with this electricity and kind of help the neighbors a little bit, but he wasn't trained. He wasn't an expert. And if you've seen some of the creative ways they do electricity there, if you're an electrician in town, you'd have a heart attack. But, somehow it works and they get it to go. Well, this young boy fell in love with electricity, and he wanted to get trained in it. He wanted to become an electrical engineer. Well, how on this earth is a kid in this kind of poverty ever going to go to the university and become an electrical engineer? It was an idea that was so beyond, it was impossible. They were able to connect with our program, and they outlined what their son's dream was, and they wrote it up, and they made a pamphlet like you'll see out there with his picture and everything on it, and some person here, person like yourself in the pews, saw that picture. He was an electrician himself. I'm going to help this kid out. And for about $45 a month, he kept sending him in for year after year, just kind of helping out. This kid got his degree in electrical engineering, and he's now regarded as one of the top 3 electricians in the country today, doing amazing things with all sorts of high-tech electrical needs and solar panels. It makes my mind just kind of fly, because I'm not at that stage in my development yet. And now he's got his own family, and this is a family now that's no longer in poverty. They're in the solid middle class. They're contributing to their country, and guess what? They're not going to have to move anywhere. They're going to be building their country right there, which is what everybody's dream is in the end. All because somebody like yourselves went out there, saw that picture, and helped him out. That's building the kingdom one person at a time. And it's amazing how much and profoundly it affects you as well. That family got to hear from that kid for years, writing each other back and forth, sharing giving them progress reports and all the other things. So it was a powerful experience. Some families I've heard even put their picture of the kid that they've adopted right beside their own kids on the mantle, and they have that communication, they share and everything. And what a powerful way to share faith, because faith, as I said earlier, it's a verb. It's not just something you say, hi, I'm Christian today. It's a verb. It's an action. And that family took that action, and that child has done amazing things. And we have stories after stories after stories of this, on and on and on, through our program, Unbound. And you can help out in so many ways. You go back here, you sign up, you can do it in so many ways. I can talk about that later. And you can even help the organization itself. But it is building the kingdom of God one person at a time. And the nice thing about all of this, some people get worried. Is this going to be one of those organizations that's so heavily loaded with bureaucracy that hardly anything goes to it? We're ranked as one of the top 5 by surveys. They have a system of 1 to 5, the 5 being the best. We're rated as one of the best, as one of the lowest overhead costs of any organization in the country. So when you do help a kid, it's going to them. And I know the personnel at that place, and you better believe they're going to make sure it gets there. That's what we do. That's how we build the kingdom. And Unbound is dedicated to building the kingdom. People like yourselves from all different walks of life coming together, creating an amazing program to help children all over the world. We're in over 30 countries, almost all the continents. Everywhere you'll see a number of different countries if you go out there and take a look. building that, helping young people out, and making life better for the world. So when people tell you, oh, there's nothing you can do, the world's just falling apart, it's awful, everything's going to you-know-where in a handbasket, and I don't say that word because then somebody will report me to the bishop and then I'll be in trouble. But that's not true. We can make a difference. And when we're willing to share our faith like that, whether it's sharing it with the checkout person or reaching out to a person in your own community who may have maybe suffered a loss of a husband or a wife, or whatever it may be, we're building the kingdom. And this is another way that you can join us and your fellow Catholics all over the country in building the kingdom there. So on behalf of Unbound, I want to thank you for your support. I want to thank you for the wonderful work you're doing right here. I hear it more and more. It's amazing what you're doing. And I want to thank you for behalf of all of us for the ministry you're doing here. And I hope you'll consider joining us. You can see us on our website. You can consider it here. You can even take one of those brochures home and reflect on it. The only thing we ask is that you give us information so we don't lose the kid. We don't want to have to go do a child search. But check us out and see what you think. You'll be amazed what it'll do for you, and you'll be even more amazed of what it will do for them. Building the kingdom, one child at a time. Let us continue our prayer.